Good afternoon, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, I'm going to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh. I want to give acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. I also want to give acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. I pray that the Most High blesses this lesson today and gives more understanding, things that have happened to us in the past, things that are happening currently, and a better understanding of things that are soon to come on the earth. As we keep on reading and studying and observing what's going on here in the world, it's just becoming more, like I said, more and more evident that the Most High is moving and is at the precipice of bringing down this empire. And as you look at what's going on in the Midwest with the flooding still, and the potential for more flooding coming over and destroying more farmland, more crops. A lot of the crops that they had, anticipated being able to sell next year being destroyed. Many of the calves and the livestock being destroyed. Seeing a lot of military movement. I was watching a video from Marfugal News last night, and he was kind of chronicling all the drills, the nighttime drills, them getting a bunch of brand new night vision equipment. You're kind of like preparing for a grid down scenario, preparing for chaos nationwide. And then we're hearing about the influx of people coming in on the southern border and the attempts to possibly close the border. You can see the Edomites trying their hardest to keep control of their blessing, and the Most High prying their fingers off of the things that were never intended to be theirs in the first place. And it's amazing because also you start to see a lot of people still trying to make sense of all the chaos that is starting to develop around them. But they're still trying to use Caesarea and white Jesus to explain all the things that are happening all around. And I'm here to tell you that there's no way to understand what is about to come on the earth and the climate of how things are already changing without understanding who God's chosen people really are and understanding the punishment that the Most High put them through and the promise that he was going to revive them and restore what was taken from them. Without that dynamic or that understanding, there's no way to understand what's really coming on the earth. That's why many people are still believing in a white Jesus rapture in order to get away from all the things that are coming on the earth. And later on, I'm going to play a video from a guy who was reading about a Hopi Prophecy. And the Hopi Prophecy he was reading, a lot of the things were correct. There were a couple of things that seemed like maybe they were tampered with or changed. But it was really good information, and I will share that later on. But now that the Most High has awakened, or many of his people, there's a lot of people who can't let go of Esau's system, the way that he has portrayed the men of the Most High. And it's been systematic, the way that he's set everything up, because he knew that we were going to awaken. And in order to make it so that people wouldn't listen to us, he had to make sure that we were at the bottom of society. He had to make sure that people would not give us their ears to hear. He would try his best to destroy our credibility before we were awakened. So that once we are awakened, most people will not listen. And I saw this on Facebook. And it's so true, because you can even see it within the comment boards. And it's like how black men and, black women first thing, niggas ain't shit. America, you see right there. Police, criminals, kill them on sight if you can. Courts, max his time. Other black men, making videos, talking all that mess about each other, because he ain't from my block, or he ain't from my camp, or he's not from my group, or I don't agree with his doctrine, so therefore he's going off. I mean, it's like banging even in the truth. You need to go into a store, keep your eyes on him. Jobs, he's not qualified. The bitter black man, he's a deadbeat. Now, there's stuff on the bottom here about changing things in society. I don't necessarily get into all that because that's not what it is. This has been set up systematically so that once we do try to reestablish ourselves as the men of the Most High, we will be met with all these obstacles. And many of the obstacles are from people who look just like us. Not necessarily saying they're all our people. And see, that's the problem. And that's also something that Esau has done. Is he's made it so that he teaches you that all people that look this way are all the same. All black people are all the same. They all come from Africa. But we know that, Hamites and Shemites are totally different. And we know that Japheth is not white. It wasn't like Noah had 3 sons and one was dark, one was, brown, and one was white. So we're all mixed in. That's all part of the plan, to keep us mixed up, so that when the real men of the Most High are awakened and they're trying to go out and preach the truth, that they are pretty much put in a corner, told that they're crazy, told that you don't need to listen to them. We have the truth. We're the ones who can teach you about how to get to heaven. They do their best to marginalize the real men of the Most High. And a lot of our women, they love Esau's system so much that they fall prey into that. We don't get the benefit of the doubt. Many people have gone to church their whole lives and gave the pastor or the priest the benefit of the doubt. But as soon as a Hebrew tries to teach you the truth, he's marginalized, attacked. You have to prove everything in order to get any kind of justification from our own people. But even to this day, they still believe in Esau's system. They still believe in being out of order. They still believe in attacking your brother. And if you don't believe it, that's like Willie Lynch. This hasn't even changed. Even in the truth, it's still the same. But ultimately, it was not our enemies or our perceived enemies at this point that did this to us. This was the Most High who did this to us because of our disobedience. And that's what we're going to be getting into today. That ultimately, when these things are happening, instead of getting upset necessarily with the people who are doing it, making it a point to go and pray to the Most High and asking Him to forgive our forefathers, to forgive us, and to restore us. Many times we get so caught up in getting upset at the stick that the Most High is using, and not looking at the reason why the man is using the stick against us. We get so upset and we spend so much energy just concentrating on the Gentiles that are doing these things to us. And we don't go and look deeper as to the Most High had already warned us that this was going to happen if we broke the commandments. So instead of always getting upset with just the Gentiles that the Most High is using, they're going to get theirs. The Most High is the one, he's already been taking meticulous notes. He knows exactly who is who and who's going to get what. So I think as a people, we need to also concentrate on ourselves and what our forefathers have done and what we currently still do, and pray to the Most High lifts these curses off of us. Because that's the time that we're in right now. I'm concerned with trying my best to do what the Most High wants me to do while I'm here. And, so that's more so what I'm looking at. But the Most High did this to us because we made a covenant with him. And he said, if you break this covenant, this is what's going to happen. And everything that he has said was going to happen has happened to the T. And we're going to review some of this today. A part of our covenant was to keep the other nations away from us, to keep us holy and separate from the other nations. I'm going to read that again real quick here from 2 Nephi, chapter 1, verses 6 through 8. Let me get that real quick. Get that. Put it up here so you guys can see it, but I like to read it out of the book. All right, here we go. Wherefore I, Lehi, prophesy according to the workings of the Spirit which is in me, that there shall none come into this land, save they shall be brought by the hand of the Lord. So the Most High is bringing the people into this land, into our land over here, good and bad, okay? Wherefore this land is consecrated unto him, whom he shall bring. And if it so be that they shall serve him according to the commandments which he hath given, it shall be a land of liberty unto them. Wherefore they shall never be brought down into captivity. If so, it shall be because of iniquity. For if iniquity shall abound, cursed shall be the land for their sakes. But unto the righteous it shall be blessed forever. So if we were righteous, this land of ours was going to be blessed forever, and we would have never known captivity. But since we broke the covenant, we were thrust into captivity. So let's look at ourselves. Let's do a little self-reflection and not always look at the stick that the Most High is using, but also look at ourselves. All right, let me continue. And behold, it is wisdom that this land should be kept as yet from the knowledge of the other nations. For behold, many nations would overrun the land, that there would be no place for an inheritance. Is that not exactly what has happened to us? That the other nations have overrun our land. Let's read that one more time. And behold, it is wisdom that this land should be kept as yet from the knowledge of the other nations. For behold, many nations would overrun the land, that there would be no place for an inheritance. So other nations came, and we're going to read a couple of accounts of that, into our land and overrun it, which is kind of ironic now, because the Americans are all upset because there are people, immigrants coming from the southern border that are threatening to overrun their country. And many people are now all upset because the same thing that they did is now being turned on them. But as we go through this, you're going to realize, of course, that history just repeats itself. What happened to us is going to happen to you. This country never followed the ways of the Most High. So now the Most High is switching everything. And it's going to be taking these curses off of us and putting them on the other nations, the ones that the Most High has not chosen to save. Okay, let's continue with 9. Wherefore I, Lehi, have obtained a promise that inasmuch as those whom the Lord shall bring out of the land of Jerusalem shall keep his commandments, they shall prosper upon the face of this land, and they shall be kept from all other nations, and that they may possess this land unto themselves. And if it so be that they shall keep his commandments, they shall be blessed upon the face of this land, and there shall be none to molest them, nor to take away the land of their inheritance, and they shall dwell safely forever. That was the true intentions of the Most High. And he's going to make things the way he had intended initially. The fact that all these other nations are over here and our inheritance and our land is only temporary. And the Father is going to, fulfill his true intentions. That's what he said, and that's what he is going to do. All right, let's continue with 10. But behold, when the time cometh that they shall dwindle in unbelief, after they have received so great blessings from the hand of the Lord, having a knowledge of the creation of the earth, and all men, knowing the great and marvelous works of the Lord from the creation of the world, having power given them to do things by faith, to do all things by faith, having all the commandments from the beginning, and having been brought by his infinite goodness into this precious land of promise. Okay, so let's stop right there. Now remember, they're digging up all these old ruins. They're digging up all this information, all this technology. There's all these things that they don't understand how these things were built, because they couldn't build them over there in the old world. But they come over here and it's all these technological advances that they attributed it to aliens or to this or to that. The book is telling you right here that the Most High blessed his people here with so many wonderful things, far beyond what other people were able to experience in their own lands, because the Most High blessed his people over here. Let me read that part one more time. Because right there it says, having a knowledge of the creation of the earth and all men, knowing the great and marvelous works of the Lord from the creation of the world, having power given them to do all things by faith. So they were able to do all things by faith. The Most High was with our people over here. He was with them when they went into these huge endeavors, when they were building all these different things. The Most High was with us, and he blessed us. Okay? And we had all this knowledge. Understand there's all these tablets that are here that have been hidden, that has all this information, has all these stories that are from the Bible. All these biblical records were found over here. And right here is showing you that the Most High was already giving us this stuff because we were his chosen people. And then that's why we had all these things already over here. All this information was already over here. Okay, let's continue. And having been brought by his infinite goodness into this precious land of promise, behold, I say, if the day shall come that they will reject the Holy One of Israel, the true Messiah, their Redeemer and their God, behold, the judgments of him that is just shall rest upon them. So because we did not, we were given all these blessings and we messed up, we got the punishments. So again, he already warned us. Not only did he warn us that we were going to be punished, he told us exactly how we were going to get punished and what kind of people he was going to use to punish us. He was going to bring the other nations into our land. And that's exactly what he did. Let me continue with 11. Yea, he will bring other nations unto them, and he will give unto them power, and he will take away from them the lands of their possessions, and he will cause them to be scattered and smitten. This is a true prophecy, that a people was going to be brought into our lands and was going to destroy us and was going to scatter us from our lands. That's exactly what happened over here. And that was part of the awakening. The awakening is not just to know that we're God's chosen people. The awakening is not just to know that he is our God and none else. Another part of it is to know what happened to us in our lands, what happened to us in our promised lands, and what they've done to us. and how deep this rabbit hole goes. Now, this was written a very long time ago, and I have a book here. Let me see here. That's what I was just reading right now. Okay, so you can read it yourself if you like. All right, I'm going to read a little bit right now from the American Holocaust, because that's exactly, it gives a historical account of what things were going to happen to us biblically. The Most High had already told us He's going to bring a terrible people from far away to our lands to destroy us. Okay? And this is from this book right here, The Conquest of the New World, American Holocaust. All right? I'm going to read the top part here. Let's go. In the darkness of an early July morning in 1945, on a desolate spot in the New Mexico desert, named after John Doe Sonnet, celebrating the Holy Trinity, the first atomic bomb was exploded. J. Robert Oppenheimer later remembered that the immense flash of light, followed by the thunderous roar, caused a few observers to laugh and others to cry. But most, he said, were silent. Oppenheimer himself recalled at that instant a line from the Bhagavad Gita: I am become death, the shatterer of worlds. And that right there is Esau's blessing. Becoming death and the shatterer of worlds. Esau was the whooping stick of the father. All right, let's continue. And he's been, he just got bigger guns at the end. But as soon as he got his rebirth, his renaissance, that's exactly what he's been. Let's continue. There is no reason to think that anyone on board the Nina, the Pinta, or the Santa Maria on an equally dark, early morning, 4.5 centuries earlier, thought of those ominous lines from the ancient Sanskrit poem when the crews of the Spanish ship spied a flicker of light on the windward side of the island. They would name after the Holy Savior, but the intuition, had it occurred, would have been as appropriate then as it was when that first nuclear blast rocked the sand of the New Mexico desert sands. In both instances, at the Trinity test site in 1945 and in San Salvador in 1492, those moments of achievement crowned years of intense personal struggle and adventure for their protagonists, and were culminating points of ingenious technological achievement for their countries. But both instances also were prelude to orgies of human destructiveness that each in its own way attained a scale of devastation not previously witnessed in the entire history of the world. So, just the destruction that they brought. And because like I said, that part is so true. I am become death, the shatterer of worlds. Esau became the stick in the hand of the Most High that he was going to use to punish us for us breaking the commandments. Now look here, just 21 days after the first atomic test in the desert, the Japanese industrial city of Hiroshima was leveled by nuclear blast. Never before had so many people, at least 130,000, probably many more, died from a single explosion. Just 21 years after Columbus's first landing in the Caribbean, the vastly populous island that the explorer had renamed Hispaniola was effectively desolate. Nearly 8 million people, those Columbus chose to call Indians, had been killed by violence, disease, and despair. It took a little longer, about the span of a single human generation, but what happened in Hispaniola was the equivalent of more than 50 Hiroshimas. And Hispaniola was only the beginning. The Most High doesn't play. I mean, if he said this was going to happen to us for breaking his commandments, that's exactly what's happened. Sometimes you have to go into different books to get this information because it's hidden in order to connect the pieces together. But the Most High said this was going to happen. This is exactly what happened. The equivalent of 50 atomic bombs on just one island. 8 million of our people destroyed, killed within 21 years. And when you read the other books, he just went from island to island doing exactly the same thing. And they came out to the mainland and they did exactly the same thing. Okay? But again, do we concentrate on the people that the Most High used? Because they're going to get theirs. Or do we concentrate on the fact that we need to come back to the Father and ask for forgiveness, not only for ourselves, but also for our forefathers, in order for him to restore us? Because the Most High is the reason why this happened. It had nothing to do with the other nations. The other nations didn't even know where we were, because the Most High kept our location out of their minds. We're going to continue reading some other stuff here. We're going to read from 2nd Baruch. And if you're interested in reading 2nd Baruch, the Sefer has it. And that's where I usually use it from. I have a Sefer, and I also have an Old Testament pseudepigrapha book, volumes 1 and 2, and they're in there also. Okay? Let's see. We're going to read 2nd Baruch chapter 7 and 8. And just to show you, that the Most High doesn't like to share his glory with anyone. He wants to let people know that it wasn't the Gentiles that did this to you, that it was me. It was the Most High who did this to you. This is a prime example right here in 7 and 8. And after these things, I heard that angel saying unto those angels who held the lamps, destroy therefore and overthrow its walls to its foundations, lest the enemy should boast and say, we have overthrown the wall of Zion, and we have burnt the place of El Elohim, and ye have seized the place where I had been standing before. So the Most High had the angels raise the walls of Jerusalem. He had the angels destroy that place because he wanted, he didn't want the Gentiles taking credit and being prideful, just like he did with the walls of Jericho. How the Most High just had us blow our horns and the walls came down so that we couldn't boast, so that we all know that it was the Most High that was doing this. But the problem with Gentiles is they don't give credit or they don't give praise to the Most High, who really raised them up and gave them their time. Okay, so let's go to 8. Now the angels did as he had commanded them. And when they had broken up the corners of the walls, a voice was heard from the interior of the temple, after the wall had fallen, saying, enter, ye enemies, and come, ye adversaries, for he who kept the house has forsaken it. So that the other nations know that the only reason they were allowed to do what they did to us was because our Father had forsaken us. Our Father had turned his head from us, but not because of them being stronger or more mighty or braver. It was because the Father is the one who brings people up, or brings nations up and brings nations down. And he was the one that was responsible for bringing us down. So as long as we're just constantly concentrating on just the enemies and what they do, we miss the mark. What we need to do is concentrate on the Father, who is the one that turned his face from us, from the one who has forsaken us, and pray that he turns his face back to us and restores us. Many people just concentrate on Esau and the other nations, but Esau and the other nations are incapable of doing absolutely anything to us without the Father allowing it. And that's a concept that I think that very few people really concentrate on. They more so concentrate on Esau and the other nations, and them having to pay, and this, and that. But ultimately, before Esau was brought over here to destroy us, we messed up. So now we need to pray that the Most High forgives us and He restores us. Because as soon as He does that, it's game, set, match. It's game over for the other nations. And they know that. So they're constantly trying to trip us up. Now let's skip on up here to 2 Baruch, chapter 6. I'm going to read verses 6 through 10, because then even, they're looking, the other nations, like they showed in, I want to say, Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, looking for the Ark of the Covenant and looking for these things, always looking for our treasures. But the Most High won't allow them to have it. The Most High had these things hidden from the other nations. So like I said, He's in charge of absolutely everything. He's very systematic in what He's doing. So let me get that real quick. Let me get this from, so I think it's a part that didn't get copied. Go to 6. Okay. All right. I'm going to read 6. I don't think I'm going to copy, but you can just listen. Hold your lamps and do not light them till I tell you, for I am first sent to speak a word to the earth and to place in it what Yahweh Sabaoth has commanded me. And I saw Him descend into the Holy of Holies and take from thence the veil and the holy ark and the mercy seat and the 2 tables and the holy raiment of the priests and the altar of incense and the 48 precious stones wherewith the priest was adorned, and all the holy vessels of the tabernacle. And He spoke to the earth with a loud voice, Earth, 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 hear the word of El Elohim, and receive what I commit to you, and guard them until the last times, so that when you are ordered, you may restore them, so that the strangers may not get possession of them. For the time comes when Jerusalem also will be delivered for a time, until it is said that it is again restored forever. And the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up. So the Most High is in absolute control of everything. He took our precious items and had the earth hide them until we will be restored. He did that first. Then He broke down the walls. Then at His choosing, He allowed the enemies to come in. But He allowed them to come in knowing that the Most High was the reason that they were allowed to come in, that He had forsaken His people. So again, we should not just be concentrating on the other nations and what they do, but concentrate more so on the power, our power, who had forsaken us and who is now turning His head back towards us. Okay, let's read now 2 Baruch here again, chapter 1, because now we're at the end, and this is what we're going to be looking at right now. Let's see here. Talking about our tribes and the things that we had done, and us going into captivity, the southern kingdom. Have you seen all that this people are doing to me? That the evils which these 2 tribes which remained have done are greater than those of the 10 tribes which were carried away captive. For the former tribes were forced by their king to commit sin, but these 2, talking about, what is it, Benjamin and Judah? But these 2 of themselves have been forcing and compelling their kings to commit sin. Okay? So kind of like what happened with Aaron when we left Egypt the first time. Okay? How a lot of the people wanted a golden calf. All right? For this reason, behold, I will bring evil upon this city and upon its inhabitants, and it shall be removed from before me for a time. And I will scatter this people among the other people, that they may do good to the other people, and my people shall be chastened. And the time shall come when they will seek for the prosperity of their times. Now, that last part is where we're at right now. We are seeking for the prosperity of our times. We're seeking to return to our land, to our Father, okay, and to our ways, and following the Father the way that He originally intended. That's what we are yearning for. So as we yearn and we want these things, we need to make sure we chase the Father even more, pray to Him even more, ask for forgiveness even more, because like I had done in other videos, that's our blessing, to have the opportunity to praise the Most High and have Him hear our prayers. And if all we're doing is just concentrating on Esau and the other nations, we're not concentrating on the fact that we need to pray to the Father to forgive us and to restore us. We're spending 80-90% of our time talking about Esau and the other nations, and very little time talking about what we did as a people and what our forefathers did as a people, and asking for forgiveness. That's why most videos you see, that's what they concentrate on. Most of the time they concentrate on the other nations and the other nations' pain. And I know that if when I concentrate on certain topics like that, you get way more views if you talk about things like that. But like I said, I'm not here for views. I'm here for whatever the Most High gives me. I know what kind of topics that you can talk about that'll pique people's interest, and they'll want to learn more about, or they'll want to be entertained. But like I said, I'm not here to entertain. I'm here to share what the Most High gives me to give to you. Now, what you do with it is up to you. If you don't agree, that's fine. If you agree, that's cool. If you want to know more and you want to study and you want to research, even better. Okay. Let's see here. Next part. We're going to be sticking with second Baruch quite a bit today. Now, this is another part right here. Like I said, history just repeats itself again and again and again. We mess up. Sometimes we're taken some places. Sometimes people come and take our land. It all kind of depends on the prophecy or how the Most High wants to administer judgment. This is second Baruch, chapter 3. We're going to read verses 1 through 5. Okay. And I said, O Yahweh, my Adonai, have I come into this world for this purpose, that I might see the evils of my mother? Not so, Adonai. If I have found grace in your sight, first take my ruach, that I may go to my fathers, and not behold the destruction of my mother. I won't even get into the whole part about the mother and the father and what's going on down here, because I've already discussed the whole thing with the earthly mother and the father and the spiritual and the carnal and all that stuff before. So let's just continue. And may go to the fathers and not behold the destruction of my mother. For two things vehemently constrain me, for I cannot resist you, and my soul, moreover, cannot behold the evils of my mother. But one thing I will say in your presence, O Yahweh. What therefore will there be after these things? This is very important right here. Verse 5. For if you destroy your city and deliver up your land to those that hate us, how shall the name of Israel be again remembered? Now see, this is different because Israel back then was never forgotten. They knew who they were even when they went into captivity the first time in Babylon. But the second Babylonian captivity, they're going to come and take our land, and they're going to take our identity and give us all these different names, so that at the end, we would not know who we are. Okay? Continue with verses 6 and 7. Or how shall one speak of your praises? Or to whom shall that which is in your Torah be explained? Now, right there, showing you that his people were the ones who give him praise. And right there in the next one, it says, what is it? Or to whom shall that which is in your Torah be explained? The Most High's people were the ones who explained the Torah. The Most High's people were the only ones qualified, and still are the only ones qualified, to give the breakdowns of what the Most High means in His Word through the Holy Spirit. Not anyone can just take our books and just teach them. Okay? 7. Or shall the world return to its nature of aforetime, and the age revert to primeval silence? Okay, so his people were going to be the ones. They're going to bring back the return of the nature as aforetime, how it was before. And that has to go with this Hopi prophecy this guy's going to be talking about a little bit. His people were going to be ones that was going to help to the world to return to its nature of aforetime, return to how it was supposed to be originally. His people are supposed to be doing that. His people are the ones that are going to be teaching the other nations. And that's what this is talking about right here. Okay? Next. 15, 5 through 8. Okay? Here we go. Man would not rightly have understood my judgment unless he had accepted the Torah, and I had instructed him in understanding. But now, because he transgressed wittingly, yea, just on this ground that he know thereof, he shall be tormented. So it's about us being tormented because we knew the Torah and we went against it, and we're going to be tormented on our own lands, which is exactly what has happened. That's for 6 right there. Okay? Let me continue to 8. And as regards what you did say touching the righteous, then on account of them has this world come. So also again shall that which is to come on their account. For this world is to them a strife and a labor with much trouble, and that accordingly which is to come a crown of great glory. Okay? Yes, this world to us is a world of strife and labor and much trouble. But the world to come will be a crown with great glory. And this is, I mean, it follows a pattern. We break the law, statutes, and commandments. Most High uses that whooping stick on us, and then we turn back to our power, and He restores us. Is that this is the last time this is going to happen. So as a people, we need to be praying to the Most High and asking Him for forgiveness. As much hate as some of us have for Esau and the other nations, we should try to revert that to as much love as we can have for the Father, and pray to Him to restore us with that same kind of vigor that we have as hating the other nations. We should have twice as much love for the Father and asking Him to forgive us and to restore us. Okay? So like I said, the first thing is ask for forgiveness for ourselves and for our forefathers. Okay? The Most High is well aware of what these other nations have done in the past and what they're currently doing today. He's the one that sent them. And this isn't the first time that He sent them. So He's well aware of what is going on with them. An example of that, right here. 2 Baruch 36, 7 through 9. And I beheld, and lo, that vine opened its mouth and spoke, and said to that cedar, are you not that cedar? That's referring to these other nations, Esau and the other nations, okay? The cedar. Are you not that cedar which was left of the forest of the wickedness, and by whose means wickedness persisted? He spreads wickedness all over the world, all right? And was wrought all those years, and goodness never. And you did keep conquering that which was not yours. And to that which was yours, you did never show compassion. And you did keep extending your power over those who were far from you. Okay? And that's us. That's this one. He extended His powers to people who were far from Him. Remember, we were hidden a long distance away. So He's talking about extending, Esau extending his force, okay, to a people that are far from Him. All right, let's get that one more time. Let's see. You did keep extending your power over those who were far from you, and those who drew nigh you, you did hold fast in the toils of your wickedness. Now, if you look at Italy, Rome, Greece, those areas are not far from what you call modern day Israel. So it could not have been talking about that because those are really close in proximity. You're talking about a place that's far from you. That's referring to what He did over here, or is going to do over here. Okay? Now it says, you did hold fast in the toils of your wickedness, and you did uplift yourself always as one that could not be rooted out. Is that not true today? Very prideful. They're going to be here forever. No one's ever going to take them down. That's what they feel. That's how they feel this country's going to be theirs forever. They feel like they're never going to be taken down. Okay? But now your time has sped and your hour is come. Okay? That's what we're coming into now. There's no denying it at this point, what's going on. There's no denying what the Most High is now bringing worldwide. We're just following, we can see that the Most High is bringing judgment. And he's going to bring it worldwide. But what I wanted to play right now is I wanted to play this guy's video. I'll leave it in the description box. I'm only going to play part of it, but he's discussing the Hopi prophecies. And it was interesting until he starts getting to the part about all men being equal and this, and that, and loving everybody as your equal. And it's like, they want to forget about all the things that they have done and just move forward. But that's not the case. That's not what's going to happen. All right. So let me get this real quick. All right, here we go.
Desert. Southern California is straight up a desert. And without these systems, we would not be able to live here. And this has all been a lie sold to us called progress. If you look back at the commercials from the 1950s, by now we were supposed to have everything automated and flying cars in the sky. Thank God we don't have flying cars in the sky. That would be incredibly annoying. But this was all supposed to make our lives easier, and it hasn't. Now you have both husband and wife of a family having to go to work to pay the bills so that they can send their children off to state indoctrination schools instead of actually having a family unit. And as a result of all of this quote unquote progress, we are poisoning our earth, killing our forests, destroying the wildlife, killing the fish in the sea and everything else. And it really is a crying shame. But there is hope. And it comes from a Hopi prophecy. There was an old lady from the Cree tribe named Eyes of Fire who prophesied that one day, because of the white man's or Yoni G's greed, there would come a time.
It's funny how he says white man, but then he changes to Yoni G or whatever else. But they're recognizing. They keep on saying we've done all these things. I wasn't responsible for any of this stuff. We've been at the bottom. We haven't had a say as God's chosen people. This is all on Esau and people who have aligned themselves with Esau. Not all of us are we. And continue.
When the fish would die in the streams, the birds would fall from Eyes of Fire.
Let me rewind.
Prophesied that one day, because of the white man's or Yoni G's greed, there would come a time when the fish would die in the streams, the birds would fall from the air, the waters would be blackened, the trees would no longer be, mankind as we know it would all but cease to exist. There would come a time when the keepers of the legends, stories, cultures, rituals, and myths, and all the ancient tribal customs would be needed to restore us to health. They would be mankind's key to survival. They were the warriors of the rainbow. There would come a day of awakening when all the peoples of all the tribes would form a new world of justice, peace, freedom, and recognition of the Great Spirit. The warriors of the rainbow would spread this message and teach all peoples of the earth, or Elohi. They would teach them how to live the way of the Great Spirit. They would tell them of how the world today has turned away from the Great Spirit, and that is why our earth is sick. The warriors of the rainbow would show the people that this ancient being, the Great Spirit, is full of love and understanding and teach them how to make the earth or Elohi beautiful again. These warriors would give the people principles or rules to follow to make their path right with the world. These principles would be those of the ancient tribes. The warriors of the rainbow would teach the people of the ancient practices of unity, love, and understanding. They would teach of harmony among the people in all four corners of the earth. Like the ancient tribes, they would teach the people how to pray to the Great Spirit with love that flows like the beautiful mountain stream and flows along the path to the ocean of life. Once again, they would be able to feel the joy in solitude and in councils.
All right, we'll stop right there. Now, it's all making a lot of sense. How at the end, the Most High was going to wake up his people. And with a lot of these other nations, that the Most High is not chosen to awaken, are going to hear, when they do go to the Father, this might be something that they see. This might be something the Most High tells them. What if after you die, the Most High asks you, so how was heaven? It's a very scary proposition if you think about it. If he says, so how was heaven? This was your heaven. And there's definitely precedence for this. If you go with the story of the rich man and Lazarus, the heaven was here. He had his money. He had his status. He thought he was doing everything right. And then he died. And then he was tormented. So there's your Most High saying, so how is heaven? Because now, boy, you're in hell. Very scary proposition to really think about. So like the really illegal immigrants arrived in boats right there. They fooled you to think that you were illegal on your homeland. They fooled you to think that you were African American, colored, Negroes, niggas, everything. Anything but what you really are. Anything but what you really are. And now our people are going to be needed to lead this world back to the Most High. And we're going to share this message with everyone and anyone that wants to hear it. And whoever the Most High chooses will accept the message and accept whatever position the Most High has deemed you to be fit for. I want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh. Again, acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.